We got big news in the NBA. The league is moving toward expansion for the first time in nearly 20 years. Seattle is back, bringing the Supersonics franchise home after 2 decades, and Las Vegas finally gets its own team, building on its booming summer league and pro sports scene. Expansion fees could hit $7 to $10 billion per team, meaning current owners could each receive around $500 million in addition to what they usually get from just the deal. Seattle and Las Vegas would join the Western Conference, forcing one team, likely the Minnesota Timberwolves, to move east to balance the schedule. Expansion drafts, salary caps, and draft positioning will give new teams a fair shot without handing them an unfair advantage. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks are climbing the ranking with the league's best defense. Denver is struggling, and Minnesota is on fire with Anthony Edwards. The big question, though, will expansion reshape the NBA hierarchy before these new teams even play, or will the current powerhouses hold their ground? The NBA making headlines this week, and it's not just about playoff races. Expansion officially back on the table.
Yeah, according to ESPN's
Shams Charania.
Thank you. The Board of Governors will vote next week to explore adding Seattle and Las Vegas as franchises in the NBA for the 2028-2029 season. So it's still a couple years away, a move that could reshape the league in profound ways. Seattle returns nearly 20 years after losing the Supersonics to Oklahoma City, while Vegas, already in the league's unofficial 21st city, thanks to the booming summer league and pro sports presence, finally gets an NBA team. Economically, it makes sense for owners. Expansion fees could hit $7 to $10 billion. It's billion with a B per team, which could mean roughly $500 million per current owner. I would call that incentive, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a massive incentive. Now, while the vote next week isn't binding, insiders expect expansion to be a near certainty, with a formal approval likely coming at the July Board of Governors meeting during the Las Vegas Summer League. Players won't have a say in the process, but they'll likely welcome the extra roster spots. If the two new Western Conference teams are added, one existing team will have to move east to balance the 17-15 split. Minnesota is the most likely candidate given its geography and relative isolation from other Western teams. The league will also carefully craft the expansion draft, salary cap restrictions, and draft positioning to make new teams competitive without giving them an unfair advantage, like the NHL made the mistake with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Well, it's not even that they made the mistake with the Vegas Golden Knights. It was just the process, and they took advantage of that process. You get the pick of the litter from each team, plus you get a relatively competitive draft pick in the process. So they just did it better than anyone else.
Well, they had to change the rules for Seattle after, because they didn't protect enough of the players that they got to draft an all-star team. So yeah, they're going to try to prevent that issue from happening again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also another thing, you don't have as many positions available in the NBA. You don't have as many positions on the court. You do have as many positions on the court. You don't have as many positions on the bench that's where I was going with that, or inside the organization. So they're not going to be able to pick from every single team in the league. And the draft only being 2 rounds as compared to 6 in the NHL, there's going to be some differences to it.
Past expansion drafts from Toronto and Vancouver in 1995 to Charlotte in 2004 show us that new teams can be competitive if they use the draft wisely. Expansion teams have reduced salary caps in their first 2 years, about 2/3 of existing team caps, but that gradually scales to parity by year 3. Meanwhile, the NBA season continues to deliver some drama. New York Knicks are back in the top 5 with the league's best defense since mid-January. Denver struggling to find consistency, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are quietly red hot with Anthony Edwards leading the way.
Yeah, with the playoff race heating up and expansion on the horizon, the NBA is really at a fascinating crossroads. I mean, how does that shape up? How does the playoff hunt shape up? And the NBA has had a very, very rough year. This could be on the way to changing that image.
The expansion is interesting with the NBA. How much more do they want to expand? I mean, that's a lot of money right there to accept some expansion teams, and with the not a lot of, you don't need a lot of players to fill out a roster. I wonder how big the NBA really wants to get. And on top of that, with the NBA expanding, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk has thrown out the idea of, when is the NFL going to follow suit? Which is funny because the NBA is still trying to catch up to the amount of teams that the NFL has. But I digress from that. We are looking for any type of expansion here, whether it be NBA, NHL, NFL. The more sports in San Diego, the better it would be here in town. But you look at a team, or should I say a city like Las Vegas, I mean, they're going to have the NFL, they're going to have hockey, they're going to have basketball, and now and they got baseball on the way. So they're going to have almost all the all four of the power teams in town. So why not San Diego? That's always going to be the question, I think, that we leave with. But NBA expanding, some pretty exciting news for Seattle and Las Vegas.